I sat down and began to read the book very, very carefully. And I think it's important to put your impressions down on the first reading, because those are the initial instincts about what you thought was good or what you didn't understand or what you thought was bad. And so I took the book and I actually wrote my comments right on the book itself. And having gotten through the book with these few notes and comments, I then made a prompt book out of it. A prompt book is sort of an old tradition from theater, and basically you take a sheet of loose leaf paper, and I sat there myself and I cut out this hole in the middle of the page, and then I pulled my book apart that I had made those comments on, and I myself pasted every page of the novel onto sheets of paper like this, so that of course you could see both sides. And then I put really good grommets, those reinforcers, on the holes so that wouldn't tear. I think I put them on both sides. Let me just check. This is years. Yeah, I put it on both sides because I was aware that this prompt book was going to be my master kind of document that I would work from. And I called it The Godfather Notebook and put a big warning: if found, return to this address for reward, because I recognized that it would have every opinion that I had on the book. And interestingly, I decided to break down each section with these key criteria.
This is a panning shot. It was one of the most important scenes in Godfather, as Francis says.
Synopsize that particular part of the book, a paragraph or two saying what up to there really had happened in terms of the story.
This scene starts off with a long shot showing Sonny walking towards a car park. He looks like he wants everything ready for his sister's wedding. A tracking shot is used to follow Sonny, making the audience feel tense, wanting to know where he is going to go and what he is going to do.
Period was going to be contemporary shot, which is to say the 70s. The fact that we were going to shoot it in Kansas City, I really, had a very hard time accepting that and made a big point that it had to be period. And I didn't even remember why I did, because obviously that was going to make the movie more expensive, which is not what they wanted at all. And it must have been because I had just gone through this vast, big, thick book writing notes as to why it had to be, what the 40s had to do with the story. Imagery and tone. This is, of course, images that seem to stand out from reading it, or even the tone of the story. Number 4, it says the core, and this is something I think I borrowed from Elia Kazan in his notes from the way he broke down the play Streetcar Named Desire. It's published in a book on directing. But for 5, I put pitfalls, which was to say, how can I screw this up? What are dangers, things that you want to avoid, or dangers that you very easily could find yourself in? Cliches. Italians who would talk like this. Failure to make a convincing setting. Boring. People must feel that they're seeing the real thing with hundreds and hundreds of interesting specifics, like the children sliding around the sandwich man, throwing the sandwich. Hey, Bino, 2 gabagool and 1 prosciutto. Losing a basic humanity to all these people. Failing to set up a tension between Godfather and Michael. Too much exposition. And I went through the book again. I used to schlep this around in a big bag that I had, and I would sometimes go to a cafe, in particular in North Beach. I used to go to the old Cafe Trieste and sit in the corner with my Olivetti typewriter and this book. And as I would go through the book for each division, and really I made up the divisions. I broke them down. I noticed here scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, but they didn't exactly follow the chapters. It's sort of what I felt was scene 1 and where it ended. What was interesting is that by doing that, after I had gotten through the whole book, I was able not only to have those first few notes that I had written in the book, but I had the big wide margins that the prompt book pages gave me, so I could in great detail chart what I thought was happening. This document was a kind of multi-layered roadmap for me to direct the film. And I remember when I did direct the film, although there was a script, obviously, I tended to take this around and work on The Godfather. Again, I had that kind of canvas bag where I could carry this. And I was more interested in really working from this because on one level, it had the actual book rather than a screenplay, which would have left so much out. And so I was able to review not only Mario Puzo's original text, but all my first notation as to what little signs as to what was important to me or what I felt was really going on in the book. Scene 26, Michael picked up by Sollozzo and the killing, parenthesis, key scene. The core, to show the killing as terrifying and explicitly as possible, having taken the tension to an unbearable degree, to further define Michael's character in regards to his cool, totally calm execution of these men. Pitfalls, rushing this would ruin it, otherwise the scene can't be ruined. That's good to know when you're just a poor little director sitting there and somebody says the scene cannot be ruined, so you know you've got something. As I was reading the book and making these notes and then putting them on the margins, obviously the more pens I was using and the more ruler lines and the more squiggly lines sort of implied the excitement of the book was higher and higher, so that the sheer amount of ink on the page would tell me later on this is one of the most important scenes. Design this scene shot for shot. Important, the audience knows he is not following Clemenza's instructions. Clemenza had told him specifically exactly what to do, and if you see that he wasn't doing it, it would be suspenseful. Hitchcock, designed, he chokes, frozen time. Hit hard and bloody, his fork frozen midair, gun almost against Sollozzo's head, really close. Get this for the audience. Mist of blood. We went to great length in that scene to put mists of blood in the air. McCluskey's fork frozen midair as he watches Sollozzo's brains fly through the air, his own choking when shot in the throat. There's an asterisk. An asterisk in a book or a script for me means a super important part. The gun in his hand, he starts to leave without dropping it. That's what Clemenza had told us, drop the gun immediately, and he's going and he's not dropping the gun, so hopefully the audience is dying. Drop it, drop it, drop it. He jumps in the car and rolls away. All very easy, should be easy. Michael disappears. We don't see him. Now, pick up the tempo. So I knew just from looking at all these colors and things in the book that this was going to be a very, very important scene. And indeed it was, not only for the movie, but for Al Pacino, because it was in that scene that the executives of Paramount Pictures first caught a glimmer that maybe I had not been crazy in wanting to cast him.
This scene starts off with loud non-diegetic sound, making the audience feel as if something is going to happen as Don Fanucci emerges from the dark, trying to get his light bulb fixed. The music gradually gets louder as the bulb lights up, creating a tense atmosphere. As soon as the light is on, we can see a mysterious character at the background, with what looks like a gun wrapped around a towel. Ironically, as the light is on, we can hear loud cheers, possibly from a festival or just outside. There is a mid-shot of the killer behind the victim wearing dark clothing. The mise-en-scène here suggests that the man is dark and mysterious. There is a shot-reverse shot used to create a sense of communication between the victim and the killer, suggesting that they know each other. There is diegetic sound of the gunshots as the killer fires 2 shots. As the killer shoots, there is a loud fireworks sound, almost sounding like the gunshot. This may be playing with the audience's minds and raising the tension levels. A jump cut is used to show the mid-close-up shot of the killer kneeling down, aiming the gun to the Don's mouth. We can see how realistic it was as the man moves at the right time. The second enemy of the Corleone family is Don Ciccio, who appears to be an elderly person living in his hometown of Italy. There are subtitles to translate for the audience, telling them what is going on. The camera was a mid-shot, then it zoomed into the Don and one of the Corleone member. Shot-reverse shot was used to show both of the characters communicating with each other and showing their facial expressions. There is a mid-shot of the Don being cut in the stomach by Vito Corleone. For the audience, you feel sympathy for an old man dying in that way, but that's how gangsters kill their enemies. As the Don is cut in the stomach, blood pours out, making it more realistic and believable.